Hello model railway fans and welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while since I've done a model railway video, but today I'm going to be reviewing the two wagons that are in front of you, which is the Hudson open tipper and the Manchester Ship Canal side loader. These are two kits from RT Models, which I've built over the last couple of weeks or so. And basically I'm just going to go through each one and sort of say, well, a bit of a review. So we'll start off first of all with the side tipper. So we'll move the Hudson out of the way for the time being, so we can focus in on the side tipper wagon. Just the camera. Now this kit is a white metal kit with a nickel steel or nickel plated basic chassis on it. It's very easy to put together and there's lots of detail on it, and I think in total it took me about 2 hours or so to actually put the kit together, and it's just assembled with super glue. If you're confident enough at soldering with white metal, you could solder it all together and it would be just as good. And obviously I've painted this in basic brown and black colouring. So the only other job I'm going to do on this will be to add some ballast in here to simulate that it's a P-way wagon as used in industrial areas. It's nice and simple enough, and you can see the chassis here underneath. It's just dead straightforward and nice and simple. I've added in 2 wires to act as coupling loops for the tension lock couplings, and it's my intention to add a few more, to get a few more of these kits to make a small rake of them. I'm looking at about 6 or so. So we'll be adding a hook into there as well, which will then connect each of them all up together as a nice little rake. And like I say, it's a lovely little kit and very easy to put together and ideal for a beginner looking to get into industrial railway modelling, with a nice, simple kit that was found on quite a number of industrial locations. So that's that kit. So we'll now move on to the Hudson tipper wagon, which I've literally just finished yesterday, assembly anyway, because quite clearly it's not painted yet. These were used mainly in the mineral railways, so your National Coal Board would have had plenty of them, and other ore works for iron ore, etc. As basically they were used for the slag heaps. So any excess material that was brought out that wasn't part of the mineral being used, for example coal, it would then be run up to what's known as a slag heap, and the hopper itself would actually tip to one side with a mechanism and deposit all the waste material onto the hillside. This kit is really very well detailed, and it is probably a kit for more experienced modelers. This is my first attempt at building a etched kit like this, so it's probably not the best example in the world because it's my first attempt, and hopefully when I get a few more of these it will they'll steadily get better and better. But this is actually soldered together, and it goes together incredibly well. It really is an outstanding kit, and there's lots of really small fine details which are very difficult to put on the wagons, right down to the brake gear down the bottom here, and there's all underframe detailing. You can see brake rods and things like that. It really is a stunning kit, and if I was able to build it better, it'd probably look even better. And the joy of both of these kits actually is that although they're both designed for 00 gauge, you can, with different chassis for each of them, fit them out for either EM or P4 scale if you work for either of those. So if you've got an industrial layout in EM or P4, you can still use these 00 gauge kits, because it's just a matter of getting the wheel spacing and the appropriate chassis in place. And other than that, it all goes together exactly the same as the 00 version. So again, that was the Hudson Tipper. Is like I said, a brilliant kit, and I'd highly recommend getting it. Well, again, I would say that it is ideal for a slightly more experienced modeller who has built a fret kit like this, a metal fret kit. So you've got the experience to get it a little bit better. You might be better off starting out with something like a plain open wagon, for instance, rather than something as detailed and intricate as this is. Because you can probably see, hopefully on the end, that you've got the full tipper mechanism is in place, so you've got all the detail that should be there is there on it. So it is it's very, very fine, but it is very well made kit, and both of them come with not full instructions, but enough instruction to sort of show you the way it goes together. They're very large pictures with all the parts labelled up. So it's basically an exploded diagram which you put together, and the Hudson Tipper is best built in, I think, it's about 3 different sections. You got the actual hopper part, the chassis, and then there was the brake rigging to do as well. So you then put all 3 together and then finally attach the wheels at the end. And this is now obviously ready for painting. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to paint it yet, but I've also got to think about adding a coupling mechanism to it as well, because you can quite clearly see, hopefully, that there's no coupling mechanism to enable it to work with other 00 gauge tension lock coupling wagons or locomotives or anything like that. So I've got that to figure out what I'm going to do with that. But again, I may well just make up a simple bar with a hook similar to the side tipping wagon, which will hopefully do the job. But it might be a bit of trial and error first before I get the final layers of paint and weathering on. Now, I have found with just test running this up and down, being pushed by my little Peckett locomotive, that it does need a little bit more weight in it, because the track work is pretty good on this little shunting layout we've got here, and it's just one of those. I think it may be a little bit off, might not be quite. I might not have got the chassis dead square and straight, so it is just struggling a little bit. But having added a tiny bit of weight, like a track rubber, it's just enough to help keep it on the rail. So that's going to get some liquid gravity from Deluxe Materials will go into the hopper itself. So I'm going to model this one as a full hopper, and the top of it will get covered in sort of scenic stuff to sort of represent the slack to go onto the disposal heap. So yes, that's my quick little review of these 2 stunning little models from RT Models, and they have a whole range of different wagon kits available in 4mm scale, as well as a lot of industrial detailing accessories such as locomotive jacks, oil cans, and all manner of things. So it's well worthwhile going and having a look at their website. There'll be a link in the description below, and go and get one of these kits and have something a bit different on your layout.